Hello, good evening. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear. Okay, I'm not able to check the sound. So if you can't hear anything, can you hear the sound, James?
Sounds good.
Good stuff. Okay, so it's almost happy anniversary because by tomorrow the length of the correction in Bitcoin on the daily chart, we talked about this, the length of the correction on the daily chart from the high that we made on the 18th of December will be equal to the length of the correction that we made in terms of time in 2014, 2015. And also this correction will be 1/3 of the time of the rally. So if we take the rally from the 2015 low, then this correction will be 38.2. So we're at a potential point where we should be looking to see if Bitcoin can stick its feet in and turn it around and put in a bit of a low. The problem is that so far we've got no signs of them. What I was really hoping for is we would have some dramatic spike low to a new level, or potentially a double bottom, or just something like a blow off bottom. But it really just feels like people are losing interest in crypto, and it might be that we seem to have to get to that point before we really finally can rally. So here in Bitcoin dollar, I'm looking at Bitstamp charts just because we have the history, but potentially we had a bit of a bullish Gartley pattern here at this low. We had a bit of a swing failure pattern when we hit this low. If we want to have a bullish reversal here, we are going to need to close above on the daily close, which is when US trading stops and Asian trading begins on the new date. So when that happens, we need to close above this previous low, and this previous low at Bitstamp at the moment is 3,401. So otherwise, unless we close above, if we close above that, then potentially we have a bit of a low that we can look at. We may, I think, be doing a kind of declining wedge here in Bitcoin. If that's the case, then that's good, because confirmation that we're going higher, or confirmation that we've made a bottom, will be when we break out of the top of the wedge. But I'm still feeling like we need a bit of a capitulation candle. And although, this is an approximate date, whenever I look at Bitcoin previously, the turning points seem to come in the first couple of days of the new month. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're still selling. I have actually bought a little bit of Bitcoin just because I remember before in April when we made that low, the dramatic spike new low happened. Sorry, I think it was February. The dramatic spike new low happened and rallied, and then it ripped people's faces off, overnight in Asian trading, and I missed it. So I have got my toe in the water with a little, and I'm okay with it coming back to around 3,000. But to be honest, it's not a great strategy because we're still in a downtrend, really. And I've got quite a lot of powder dry so that when we get down there, I can buy some more and improve my average price. If you are trading at all leveraged, there's absolutely no reason for you to be long at the moment. There really is no reversal price action. And if we're going to add to our positions, we really need to be seeing that we're back in an uptrend, which we've got no sign of at the moment. So, a double bottom, a spike to a new low at 3 grand, and then a sharp recovery. I think the biggest sign that we're making a recovery will be a sharp recovery. Until then, I'm afraid we're still in the downtrend. We're just this is the week where I think we might make a bottom, but we haven't done it yet, unfortunately. And believe me, when I think we have made a bottom, I'm going to be yelling loud and clear. I'm entirely focused on this, and I'm at it every day. So, if we draw this as a bit of a channel, yes, are we at the bottom of the channel? Could we bounce from here? Yeah, we could. It's just not quite enough yet, is it? The other big disappointment is how Ethereum is underperforming. This is a weekly chart in Ethereum. We've gone well beyond a kind of ABC pullback, and we had a double top in ETH dollar, now we've broken the back of that. This is actually pointing to new lows in ETH, because if you, in a double top, if you measure from the high to low and you project that from the low, then that says we're headed back to 62, which would be a quite nasty blow off top if we don't hold the lows in ETH. So either way, I would be looking for a retest of the lows in ETH and potentially 62. If we take a look at ETHBTC for me is a really good indicator of alts. When alts tend to outperform when Ethereum is outperforming against Bitcoin. And, you know, we had a few days here, or we had a bit of a season, didn't we, from the middle of the month until 2 days ago, where some alts were doing okay. It wasn't completely awful. It's back to completely awful, I'm afraid, in ETHBTC. We've lost the 618 fib support today. I don't think we've got any new support now until 0.0282. So further to fall in this one and looking pretty grim. And so that is pretty grim for most alts. But if we think about it, the pattern that's tended to happen in rallies, when rallies, proper rallies, sustainable rallies have begun, they've always begun in Bitcoin. Bitcoin has always gone first and sucked all the liquidity from everything else. And then as Bitcoin levels off and stabilizes, the other ones follow and start to overtake Bitcoin. That's always been the pattern. Bitcoin goes first, and then the big alts and the higher caps, and then the smaller ones follow. Jake says Bitcoin to 1200. I could make an argument for that. You know, if we look at fib levels in Bitcoin, and we go to a weekly chart of Bitcoin, whilst we're underneath the 786 and its resistance, I think that we are potentially looking at 2300, 2400. Yeah, but at the moment, you know, we've got really good support here from the weekly 200 moving average. I would really like to see this hold on a retest and a rally from here. And back above 4,300, we've got a pretty good low in, I think. So whilst ETHBTC is going down, most alts will not outperform Bitcoin. And, you know, we had a little bit of a chance. It was really holding on around this 50% level. And I got a little bit hopeful. You know, it was pretty good price action off these lows on the retest. And we held up for 5 days here. And then, as usual, on a Sunday, you know, we've seen the last 3 weeks, we've seen really nasty selling on a Sunday. It's a good thing to remember. A good day to keep an eye on your positions anyway. Alrighty, let's move along from there. So tonight's requests, they're in order at the top. I've got the charts ready, hopefully, so we'll see where we go. First off, Ethereum Classic against the dollar. I'm going to look at most things against the dollar tonight, because I think it's important that we see that they're not just looking good against Bitcoin, but they look good against the dollar. So the good news about this one is we've got 5 waves down, and the good news about this one is it's really respecting the fib retraces from the lows on the 7th of December. So no reversal yet. We're back, headed lower, and that's the bad news. The good news is that 3.854, where we've stopped, is the next fib support level, and every other fib has got us a reaction. So potentially we could be looking for a bullish reversal here, 3.854. Now, if we go down to our 15-minute chart, you know, what we're looking for is a trend reversal here. Let it stabilize and see if we can turn around. It is a fib level where I think we could bounce in Ethereum Classic US dollar. If you do get a reversal at a 786 fib, I'm going to go back. So if we do get a bullish reversal here, reversals at a 786 fib that go beyond the 618. So these are the little fib rules. If we go beyond, this is our 786. If we go beyond the 618, which is at 4.289, then our target is the 382, which is at 4.9. Reversals at a 786 go minimum to the 382. So 4.9 if we get a bullish reversal here. But we really do need to see that, because this is in a pretty nasty downtrend at the moment. Okay, we'll take a quick look at ETHBTC. This just tells us, should we be in Ethereum? Should we be in Ethereum Classic, or are we better off in Bitcoin? Pretty much similar pattern. Okay, 1083, which we haven't reached yet, is the support. Next support, and each one of these fib levels in Ethereum Classic have been really well respected as well, as in, you know, bounce, support, resistance, support, resistance. So 10,083 next support, otherwise still going down. Ooh, who knew it was my birthday? Hello. My birthday's Wednesday. Thanks. Okay, so that's Ethereum Classic. Darn. Let's see where we go from here. Next one we're going to look at is Dash Coin. So Dash Coin, the coin supposedly alleged being used by Venezuelans, who probably have enough trouble, because when we look at this Dash Coin, again, we're going to look at it against the dollar first of all, because we want to see where we are in fiat terms before we look at it against Bitcoin. And potentially still on a pretty good support level. This is what my Heiken-Ashi says. But when we go to real candles, it looks like we've broken it. Have we broken these lows yet? Probably not. Let's see where we are in terms of pullbacks. And we, you know, I'm going to say that I'm a little bit bearish now, because 786 fib levels, there are some fib levels that are really woolly. Okay, the 618 is woolly. You kind of wash back and forward, and the 382 can be really woolly, but the 786 is usually pretty sharp. You're not going to close underneath it unless you've really broken it. And so if we close underneath 68.47 in Dash dollar, we are headed to 63.50 next, unfortunately. Let's take a look at Dash Bitcoin. So 63.50 is where I think that's one is closing, unless we have a really nice rally ahead of the close, but I can't see it at the moment. Dash Bitcoin. Let's do retraces on this one, because I haven't quite made a new low, but and we're still on this 786 fib level. So we do have some potential to hold the support here at 19,122 on a retest, potentially. So watch and see what happens here. If it does and we double bottom, then, you know, I don't really have any sorry, I'm just trying to find reasons why we would stop here. A double bottom and a turn up high here would be really positive. A break then above these previous highs reverses the trend. So 20,600, 20,700 reverses the trend. Then we revert to 22,000 and potentially we're going up again. But at the moment, pretty ugly. At least, at worst case, we're sideways with flat moving averages and we hold support here, but we're really not going up again. So no reason, unfortunately, to buy Dash yet either. Sorry. Okay, next one we're going to take a look at is NEO. Let's see where we are with NEO. This is NEO against Bitcoin. Now, I'm a little bit more positive about NEO. One of the reasons I'm a bit more positive is that if I look at this, I can see 5 waves up in NEO, first of all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in which case, I would be looking for a 3-wave correction back. Something corrective, and then another leg higher. So let's take away these fibs, which we've already looked at, and see where I and I'm looking for sort of between the 50 and the 61.8. So in this zone, and maybe a nice ABC correction, that would be pretty good too. So we're kind of at the level, these previous lows and the daily 50 moving average, if I was going to say 2 levels where I would expect there to be support for NEO, this is the first one that we're at now, and an full ABC equal measured move back to 1853 would be the second level. So I'm not sure which one of these is going to hold. So I'm going to look, I'm going to have a peek under the hood and see if we're holding on here. Taste it. It's not yet, but it's coming up. Thank you. So let's take a look at the hourly and see if we've got anything going on here to say reversal. Not yet. Not yet. I'd like to see if this retests and makes a bit of a base here. That'd be a good sign. A little double bottom. You know, whenever you see a double bottom and a double top, it's always a sign that you've stopped or stalled, like here. Anyway, something like that. See if we can build a base here. If we don't, if we make a new low, or if we continue below 1953, then 1830 is where Neo Bitcoin will find some support. Still going down, still you know, underperforming against Bitcoin. You're really better off in Bitcoin than Neo at the moment, but right at a level where we could see some support. So let's see. Really gloomy start to the week, isn't it? Let's see if Lumen XLM has got anything happier for us. Kicking Mustang. Gosh, thanks. I'm just going back to find Lumen, Stellar Lumen. Stellar Lumen was doing so well, and then suddenly this big disappointment, you know, and down we go in this one, unfortunately. So if I draw my fibs from this low to this high, we went back and forward from the 618 a couple of times, and now we're in a second swing lower, or the downtrend, I should say, has resumed. So I'm going to take these fibs away like this, because these internal ones, I'm going to likely look, I think, for a retest of these lows. Potentially, I'm going to take those ones away. Now, potentially, an 886 pullback here might be where we find support. And that's around 24.28. But, no, not that one. There's no reason, the main thing is there's no reason to be long there at the moment, let's be honest. There's no reason to be long of Lumen after it's lost that major support. If you're still hodling, then where should you be looking from here? You see these, I'm going to take these fibs away. It's these big fibs from the lows to the highs that we've been bouncing in between, isn't it? So this is our 618, 382 that we went back and forward between twice. And so, you know, the next support then, therefore, I think is 2025. Hi, Saeed. NXT will stick it on the bottom, yeah. So, oh, la Sean. Okay. Right. So the other thing I think that we may have done here is a big giant correction. So if this is an A leg and then this is an A, B, C, here this is a B leg, then we're in our C leg and we could potentially be looking for 61.8 of this first leg, which would be quite ugly if I can line it up. And that puts us down here as well, 1832. So if I measure it generously from this high, it lines up here. So I'm going to say that 2000 is where I think Lumen Bitcoin is headed to. And that until then, we should sit on our hands. And if you've got some, or you've been hodling, or you got caught out by this nasty breakdown, I would be looking for a rally to get out. I really would be looking for a rally to get out. Thank you, Daleks. I forgot ADA, so I'm going to go back and do ADA. So we're looking for a drop to 2,000 in Lumen Bitcoin, and not much to do until then. We need to just be patient. So let's go back and take a look at ADA. Now, there's lots to like about ADA. And, you know, whenever you see a rally, you kind of get all excited. But the clearest indication that a market has made a bottom is 5 waves up usually. And if I look at this on the daily, either way I cut it, I see ADA as an ABC, which is still, unfortunately, corrective. And if I look at ADA here, it was an equal measured move. Now, that doesn't mean that the bounce is over, or that we can't do another leg higher. It just means, and sometimes leading diagonals, which means the first leg of a reversal, the first swing, it's called a leading diagonal. Sometimes they look like ABCs, but they're not. The market loves to trick everybody. So it is possible that if the next swing is really strong, that we have made a bottom in ADA. I'm not going to say that we haven't. So if we are going to stay bullish and look for another swing higher, then the first easy entry is going to be 50% of this rally back. So if we mark where 50% is, that's where we are now. So happy days. Here we are at 50%. We're at the daily 50 moving average, so that's pretty good support. And if I measure, we're not quite, are we? So we have a little bit further to where we could drop to become an equal measure move. So now I think we have to mark it as a reversal zone. And so between here and 1,043 would be kind of an ideal reversal zone for ADA. And so that means you have to kind of watch it on lower time frames to see the trend flip. So if I was looking at this on a 15-minute here, I'd be going, oh, this is, you know, if we make a little dip here and an inverted head and shoulders, that would be a very nice long setup. Thank you. Something like this. And I would mark the neckline at this little 15-minute double top high. Yeah, I'd be watching it anyway, like this. And if we break above these highs, I'd be, well, this high for sure, that would be me. And I'd say, let's go in ADA, because we are kind of approaching that reversal zone. The other way I like to look for reversals is if it goes beyond the 236 fib. So if we do this in ADA from this low, we'll just do the most recent swing at first off and see where that first level comes in. It's the same level. That's so often the case of that previous high. So now we can say if ADA Bitcoin trades above 1126, then we've probably reversed the 15-minute trend and we've got an hourly trend reversal, and we see where we go from there. If we can go more than 50% of this swing or above the hourly 200, then probably we have got a bottom and we're in a new swing higher in ADA. Can't make this work as a trend line, so I'll leave it. Okay, so maybe we're in a support zone in ADA, 50% back, daily 50 moving average. There's a lot to like about this level. We just need to see a bit more evidence of a reversal if we can get it turned around in ADA. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is ZRX. Little heartbreaker, ZRX, isn't it? Well, maybe it's just mine. So when I'm going to zoom all the way down. So for me in ZRX, I was looking at this as a big ABC up and then an ABC down correction, and this would start another swing higher. Unfortunately, when I put my fibs on ABC like this, that 50% level stuck it, and we're in another swing lower in this one. Now, I don't know whether that means we're just going to retest these lows and bounce from here, or if we are going to extend from here and go that little bit further. Because if we stop here, you can see that this second swing, this could be an A, B, C, because the second swing is 61.8 of this first swing. So then we've got A, B, C, and we could rally from here. So we've got two levels, 7,300, and then we've got a second level here, which would be the equal measured move at 1580. And if I put retraces on, that should also line up with my 886 fib. Oh, it's almost a retest of the lows, isn't it? Yikes. Okay. So we're going to watch for 71.56 to hold and a break or close below 71.56. We will have some interim support here at this previous low, but our target was going to be 1580, I think, unfortunately. So let me draw this in. So I'm always looking for, as in another rule from the most recent low to high correction, I like to see 1.618. And if I do that here, you can see that that 1.618 lines up, doesn't it? It's all lining up down here at 1850, 1820. So two support levels where we are now, and we need to rally from there. And if we don't, and we don't, and we break it, don't hodl, because we will go down to here and 1850 area. So ZRX. So now we need to be watching. Again, this is another one where we need to be watching for a bullish reversal. So far, no banana. You know, we've just had one touch. That happens in a downtrend. We need to see a bottoming pattern, a retest of these lows, a double bottom, a bit of a base here, or we need to rally beyond the 236 fib from this swing. That would also say that we've done it. 76.59. So we can sit on our hands and wait for a bit of a base, I think, to form here. Let's see. I'll try. Hi, Christopher. I'll try and add a ripple on the end. Okay. Next Halloween, dress as the guy who bought. Oh my gosh, poor guy. Gonna have a quick look at QTUM. We're gonna have a quick look at QTUM and then IOTA and then TRX. So QTUM. This is another one where we've got dead flat moving averages, dead flat. And so I think it is making a base. This is what I mean. When we rallied, we failed to make a new high in this one. So we couldn't get beyond this high, this previous high. So we stopped, although we stopped going down, we're now going sideways. And we need to see if we can make a base here. Ideally, it would be very nice if we made an ABC pattern. But, you know, we might come all the way back and retest these lows. Either way, it's not a short or a long. We're in a sideways range. And until we break out of it, as in make a new low or break out above 71,500, we're pretty much stuck. Oh, somebody doesn't like the slow mode. Shall I tell you what it is, super hot? You know, people ask me for stuff and requests, and I find it really hard to read all the comments and the chat at the same time and keep up. So I apologize. So I think we have to wait until this correction is over in QTUM. Let's measure from this high to this low. Okay, so we've broken just like that, just like the ZRX that we just looked at. We've broken this 618 here, so 48.88. 48,800 is where I think that the next support comes in. And we have to be patient and wait for that. 48,800. Let's do a... It's not really lining up, so what? Anyway, that's where our equal measured move is. That also would make a bit of a, if we could find support there, that would make a nice inverted head and shoulders pattern if we can do it. So that's QTUM, a little bit further to drop, 48,800. Okay. So the next one we're going to take a look at is IOTA. I will take a look at Zilliqa for you when we come up to it, okay? Very similar. This is a daily chart of IOTA. You know, in the trading system that I use, whenever you trade counter trend, if you, the 200 moving average is king of the chart. If you're above it, you're in an uptrend, and if you're underneath it, you're in a downtrend. And if you are trading a rally or a bounce, your target should always be back to that 200 moving average. And then if you can extend beyond it, then happy days, you're back in an uptrend again. This is exactly where we failed, though, unfortunately, in IOTA. This is IOTA Bitcoin. If you want IOTA dollar, you have to say so now, and I will look at that one. So here we are. This is another one. If this is a first swing higher, though, and we're just looking at an ABC correction, then, you know, maybe this zone around here is where we find it, maybe a measured move. But for now, we're underneath all of these daily moving averages and potentially headed back to the bottom of the range. So take that away. I'm going to say 72,384. Like a lot of them, we are at a level where potentially we could hold support, and if we don't, I'm going to say look for 62,590. So not a reason to buy yet. Now, how will we know if we've reversed at this level? Well, we could take a peek at lower time frames. So this is what I mean by this is a good sign. A double bottom is always a good sign that you've made a base. Short term or long term, we'll see how long it lasts. So we've got our double bottom here. If we break the high in the middle, then short term we're going up again. We're going to go at least twice this distance, so that'll put us up around here, probably somewhere around there. And then we're going to take this last swing lower. If we've gone then beyond the 236 fib and we can close above it, which we will have, then we should be bouncing at least, and we good signs for a base here, but on any time frame. So on this hourly, you can see this hourly is support and will be resistance. That also probably usually lines up around 50% of the drop. So I would say 80,100 if we can reverse on this double bottom. If we can get above that, we've probably made a bottom. So 80,500 is where I'd be looking for resistance. Now, that's our look here. Now that I go back to the daily and I look at it, I think that we could potentially go a little bit higher than that. But for now, that takes us to these lows, doesn't it? So 80,500 first resistance, and then above there, we've probably made a bottom. So at a good level, let's see what IOTA can do with it. Okay. So I see lots of you guys asking for Zilliqa. I will squeeze it in, don't worry. I'm just going to quickly look at TRX. Tron, TRX. Now, I really like this chart. But when I have to say again, whenever you see a double bottom or double top, or a failure to make a new high like we've got here, then this means that this swing lower was just the first leg in a bigger correction. So we're going to do a bit of sideways trading. We are in an uptrend in TRX, make no bones about it. We're trading above the daily 200 moving average. All of our other daily moving averages are pointing higher. So we just have to let this next leg of correction play out. So 691, maybe 587, maybe. If you haven't taken profit in TRX, this is a good opportunity too, because I do think we'll see another swing of correction lower here before we go higher again. So I'm just going to move these moving averages, sorry, fib levels. Just going to unlock it, move it down here. Okay, because, and the reason I'm doing this is a kind of messy reversal at a 618. I think on this second swing lower that our support is going to be 572, that we're looking at a bigger correction than people are expecting in TRX. So good time to take some profit. Now, if I'm wrong, which I am sometimes wrong, and if I'm wrong, then, and you know, we've just made an ABC correction and TRX rallies from here and makes a new high, just jump back in. It's not the end of the world. But at the moment, I think the risk is a little bit skewed lower rather than higher. And one of the reasons that I think that is when I look how far away we are from these daily moving averages and how stretched we are. That's very often the sign of, you know, this. We've done this before, haven't we? It's very often the sign that we are just a little bit overdone and we need to come back a little bit more. So now, where to watch short term? Say you don't want to get out here. You know, if we can hold this hourly 200 and bounce, maybe put your stop underneath here. If we lose this hourly 200, we are definitely going lower. So ENG is next, but I'm going to squeeze in ZIL by popular request, because Zilliqa has been a pretty nice outperformer. Now, Zilliqa, not just a double top, but a triple top false breakout. So when you see a false breakout one way, very often it can lead to a reversal and a breakdown the other way. The good news in Zilliqa is that we've got really good support at the bottom of this range. So here's our range. If we break this, it's a little bit lower, isn't it? Or if we close underneath this 4-hour 200 moving average, which is at 568, we've got a false breakout one way and then a real breakout the other way, and we will go twice this distance lower. So we will go from here to here like this. We'd be looking at down here around 500 in Zilliqa. So in the meantime, in between, flat moving averages, sideways range, and just sideways consolidation. So just watch out that we don't break down. Watch out that we don't lose the daily 200 moving average or close underneath it, because we will drop back down to around 500 if we do. Otherwise, I'm looking for this to hold the 200-day moving average, go back to the upside, break the upside. Resistance is at 689, and the first target is 855 for Zilliqa. I'm hopeful. Okay. Taser, for now, cryptos still on rallies. Charts still look bearish. They do still look bearish, don't they? You have to be very careful when we get back to resistance. I agree. And John says TRX is pumping because of the airdrop. Yep. Which means you have to be very careful to get out once it stops going up, don't you? Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is ENG. And then we're going to look at Wanchain. And we'll see how we're doing. So first off is ENG is Enigma. Now in Enigma, ENG, we've got a really good sideways range going on in this one. And it's also the daily 50 moving average. We've held it basically all year since the start of the year. 1st of January low, that's exactly where we are now. So sideways, sideways, sideways. Is it a wedge consolidation, or I'm not sure. I think we could draw it either way, but not really going anywhere. The good thing about this, or the nice thing about this is, when you're going in a sideways range against Bitcoin, you're doing whatever Bitcoin is doing. So that if Bitcoin goes up, you probably will go up. And if this drops, then And if Bitcoin drops, then even if you're still going sideways in Enigma, then the value of your Enigma will drop. So you need to be a little bit careful. Now, I've got a whole bunch of lines drawn here. These lines, it's just a support and resistance level and a previous fib level that we broke underneath. It's 91.75. If we bounce to the really top of the range, I think 91.75 is where we have the major resistance. And if we want to break out and get going to the upside, that's where I'm looking for. But we could potentially, thanks to this lovely spike, we could also say that this spike high and this spike high make us an inverted head and shoulders pattern at this level at 11,300. So 91, so although 91.75 is resistance that I'm looking for, 11,400 is the inverted, is the neckline of an inverted head and shoulders pattern. And also we could say that this is a Adam and Eve double bottom. So here's our spike low, and this is our rounded retest, if you like. So there's lots to like about this. If we could just break it to the upside, but nothing doing until then. The only way in Enigma, for me, I'm just going to put my alarm back on. I'm going to put an alarm here connecting these highs. And when it breaks to the upside, hopefully I catch it. And we'll see. I really don't want to put money into something that's just going sideways like this. You know, mental capital is as important as regular capital. And if you put it in a market going nowhere, you just kind of expend, you know, emotions unnecessarily. So that's how I'm doing with ENG. So the next one we're going to look at is Wanchain. Now, Wanchain, we were looking for a bullish Gartley pattern. That means that this first impulsive looking swing higher was followed by an ABC and then another swing higher. This is what we're looking for. So this was our level that we marked here. We talked about it. So far, so good. We got a really nice reaction off it. Now we just want it to hold up on a retest and happy days. I have bought a little WAN, and so I'm excited about that. But the really for sure sign that we've gone higher is above this 236 fib level in these lows, so 856. If we do it from there, no, it's still, yeah, let's say 856 just to be safe. If we can tread above that, I'll be much happier. But yes, in Wanchain, I'm looking for an ABC correction here and then another swing higher back to this pivot level at 971, and then the first target is 1124. Mike says hot is really hot. No, but we'll stick it on the end because we look at it most nights in my group. Because yeah, we had a lot of fun trading hot, and we've got all of our levels are working really well in that one as well. So pen, yeah, emotional capital. Honestly, you see, this is, I get hodling, right? I get the hodling mentality thing, and in a bull market in crypto, hodling was a great strategy. You know, because eventually they all just did go to the moon. But we're not in a bull market anymore. And hodling, like, is, you may as well burn all your emotional capital and become a nervous wreck. So, you know, yeah, it's better to preserve it. So Wanchain, looking for a higher low. I'm holding WAN. I'm holding some WAN just because I like the pattern, and it's quite a reliable pattern. And I like anything where I can measure my risk and I've got a tight stop. So I've got a really tight stop under here, and I'm going to know very quickly if I'm wrong. And if we drop under here, I'm wrong. So that's what I like about WAN. Right then, the next one we're going to look at is rep. So from this swing, when I put the fibs on in rep, I couldn't get them to work from the highs. This is Rep Bitcoin. We're going to look at Rep Bitcoin, then we'll look at Rep ETH if you like. I know a lot of people in my group trade it against ETH. So if we put it on this way, then we reversed at the 236 fib. So we're still effectively in a downtrend or making a base really. Big picture on the weekly in Rep, we're in a sideways range. If I take it from this most recent swing lower as well, or from this high, I think, hold on. We also reversed at a 61.8. Now, if you do that, the 382 or the 236 fib should be support on a pullback. And if we'd say that here, then we are looking at 3061 to be support potentially, 3061. However, the moving averages say lower than that. And so because Rep is underneath its 20 moving average, I'm not going to do anything in this one until it actually makes a base. I would say if you've got any Rep, you need to get it off on about. There's no reason to be buying this yet. And we could see a full retest of this 200 moving average in Rep. So not looking so hot, unfortunately. If we look at Rep ETH, now, how far have we come back? Again, we've lost this 20 moving average. Potentially, we have some support here at these previous lows. Potentially. But more likely, I think, let's measure it all the way back. We've dropped beyond 50%. If we look, whenever I'm not sure, I always want to, have I drawn this fib retrace correctly? Have I used the right low? Should I be looking at this low or the bigger low? Whenever I'm not sure, I look at what happened at the previous level. So the 236 fib was support. Here, this 50%, which is a really good one that the market usually reacts to. You can see it was the low. And so I'm going to trust this fib level and here say that we've got lower to fall and that we are looking at 97.52 if we make new lows next fib level. Just because really nice bounce off the 50%. A really good fight at the 382, really nice bounce off the 236 fib. So next potential support in Auger F 97.52. So further still to fall in this one. Not much I want to do in Rep at the moment, unfortunately. I thought we had a good shot in this one, but it just, especially when it bounced from this 50%, but it didn't quite stick it in. So the next one we're going to look at is Loopring. Now, Loopring has come back to ideal support after this is a daily chart of Loopring. This zone that we're in, potentially, normally, you would say in a market, an ideal trend pullback would be to between 50 or 61.8 and then a rally from there. We've actually dropped at the moment straight through this level and we're underneath the 61.8. However, we haven't closed yet. We've got like 3 more hours until the close tonight. And if we see a bit of a rally, which it looks like Loopring might be trying to do, or if we can get back above 1726, then I wouldn't be quite so bearish, these previous lows as well. At the moment, though, it's not looking terribly good. There, that's the lows, that's resistance. So I'm going to say above 1698, I'm going to feel a bit better. Otherwise, this is just consolidation in a downtrend, and we are just as likely to carry on lower, unfortunately, and then in Loopring. And because we would then be closing underneath these daily moving averages, I think that we are likely to come back and test all the way the bottom of this range and the daily 50 moving average, which is down here at 1335. So that means if we close here tomorrow, when you have a big thrust day red candle like this, 50% of the open close of this candle then becomes resistance. So I usually mark where that is. If we closed here, it would be 1790. So mark it there. Make sure I've drawn it level there. And so then tomorrow I would look for a rally back to this level. And then if we fail there and rolled lower again, that for me would be a sell setup. So Loopring. Yeah, really needs to bounce in the next 3 hours, or I think we're headed much lower. Okay, next one. BNB. Now I've been in in and out of BNB. Got out of some more today. I would like to tell you that I sold closer to the high than the low, but I was not. I was a bit distracted, unfortunately. So it took a little bit of a hit. Plus, I was really hoping, I sold around here. I was really hoping that we would just, you know, trade sideways and a bit of a, this would be a bit of an irregular correction and we would carry on lower. And so I didn't actually get out until we broke these lows here. So that's it for me for BNB. Now I'm waiting to see where we pull back to. Now, here's the bullish argument. If this was a wave 1, this is a big sharp wave 2, and then we've done a wave 3, then the ideal pullback would be the 382, or the most common pullback would be to this 382 fib here around 17,500. So I'm going to wait and see if we do make that bullish reversal here, and then I will look at getting back in again. The problem is that I would like to see a bit of a base build, you know, just one candle and then all the way back up again. Very rarely happens. Most corrections are 3 waves. This is 1, we need 2, 3, and so on. Short term, the other thing is I would wait for a close of this candle, and I use that 50% rule to help me going the other way. So if we trade more than 50% of this candle going up again, I would probably get back in. And that's 18,886. So that would certainly be, I'd mark that level. It's around there. So, and that would tell me that we're probably, you can't really mark it though until you've got it closed because you don't know what time that will be and so on. So, yeah. So we've got one leg rally, retest, and then I'd be looking at Binance Coin maybe to see if we can hold this support here. Another way is if this is the other way to look at this is that this from the highs was a 50% reversal here. So this high to this low, this was the 50% level we reversed at. We actually kind of went a little bit beyond it. And so potentially the reason I got out and I'm waiting and I want to see a bullish reversal is reversals at a 50% usually go 50% the other way, which would mean here, so it would mean that we retrace 50% from this low. So that's our second target. And we test 16,500. Which is the kind of neckline of our bottoming pattern. So that's why I'm sitting on my hands and waiting to see which of these two levels we pull back to for me to buy back in to BNB. So that's where we are with that one. Okay, Mainframe is next. This is a proper sideways range. So first off, here's the bearish argument is from this daily chart that we're in this sideways range. Here's the lows. We've got a triple bottom on the lows. And here's our highs starting from the high on the 9th of January. Every time we've traded above this level, we have not managed to close above it. That level is 85. So the bottom of our range is 71 and the highs of our range is 85. And for the whole of this year so far, we have never closed outside of that range. So the first time we do that will be an indication that we are on our way. Now, so I've got a little bit of an alert here, but what if I hide this for a minute, take it away, and instead I draw my highs here and I connect them? Well, if we do break that 85 level, then at 90, I think this is a neckline of a bigger inverted head and shoulders pattern. Okay, and if we can do that, then here we go. Here's our head. We'd be looking to build a right shoulder. So I'm waiting to see. But for the first thing to accomplish, if we're going to be looking at going higher in mainframe, is a daily close above 85. So until then, you have to be a little bit patient. Now, you could get a little bit of a jump on this, maybe an early jump, if you looked at this as an ABC correction, which it does look like, and we looked for a break of this flag like this, that would maybe, we've already had our third touch false breakout. When you draw a trend line, okay, you have your first one is your start. The second one is what you connect. So now you've drawn your trend line. The third touch of a trend line is usually what confirms it, and you usually expect it to be a false breakout that holds within the trend line. So we've done that. So that's good, because that means that next time we go back, we'll either hold it or break it, and it shouldn't be a false breakout. Let's see. That's the kind of rule. And let's see if we've done one of those ABC equal corrections here as well. In MFT mainframe, that would be very nice if we can look at going from here. Look, this low to the tick was an ABC correction. So lots of potential for mainframe then to rally. Let's just do it. So yeah, let's look for a breakout there. That'll be doing. I'm going to put my alert there now. V-Spectre, thank you very much. Come in my group, we do it every day. then you start to get fed up with me. Okay, that's mainframe. Let's look at GVT. Not all of them look as nice as mainframe, unfortunately. So here's Genesis Vision. This is what I mean about this 236 fib from this high to the low. That's where we failed, but we failed twice at the 200 moving average this year. So each one of these rallies, that's where we've gotten stuck. So I unfortunately start to look at this as a wedge or pennant. And in a downtrend, a pennant will usually break lower with the trend. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that we've got really strong horizontal support and flat moving averages. So really, we should draw this as a sideways range and not assume that we're going to break the lows, but just that we're going to retest them if this kind of smaller flag pattern breaks lower. So good support at 86.15. Watch what happens on a retest. We've got flat moving averages and we're not going anywhere really very fast. So, you know, if Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin, Genesis Vision is pretty much in touch with Bitcoin when you're going sideways against it. So I think if Bitcoin can rally, so will GVT, but we'll only be back in an uptrend when we get back above 13,000 and that 200 moving average. Okay, GVT. Next one is LBC, Library Credits. Here's a good lesson in how to look at the market. So we've got this really good sideways range here, haven't we, in LBC? And some people will even tell you that this maybe was a little bit of a inverted head and shoulders pattern. So if this is our neckline, so whenever you break out of a sideways range, and it doesn't matter what pattern you make, if you just have a sideways range like this, when you break out, your target is the equal distance of the range, and don't measure it from the widest, measure it from the most touches. So we hit our target exactly twice this distance in library credits. So that's a bit unfortunate. Not only that, if we measure each of these legs from the highest point where we poked out, we also made an equal measured move. So we've got an ABC correction, which is bearish now. and we've only had one swing lower. So I think we are headed lower, unfortunately, in library credits. And I would be prepared for a retest of the lows, and I wouldn't be hodling. Now, there's one, I could be wrong. At the moment, we've got nasty bearish symmetry. Okay, but I wouldn't sell this. And if you are in and not offside, you may as well hang on, like if you bought here. The problem is, you know, we've got a bullish cross of these moving averages. We should, if we're going to keep going higher, find support from them and turn up higher here. The problem is you don't want to be in it with that bearish symmetry, really. So I would say get out in library credits and wait. And if we can find some support, let's see where we are in terms. Yeah, you see 50, maybe 61.8. We've probably gone beyond that as well. So, do you know, we're right on it. We might. Just all the momentum is pointing lower. I wouldn't risk it in library credits, to be quite honest. I would... let's see where we are, big picture. It might be that you see, when you look at this shape on the weekly, it doesn't inspire you to be long, does it? It's not. It might be that we're just setting up a retest of these lows. So what's the good lesson here? Do you remember that thing about the open close? So if you get a bullish candle like this green one, then you look for 50% of the open to close as you ought to hold. And that's what we did here if we're going to keep going higher. So the next time we pulled back, we did this here and we kept going higher. Yeah, it's not looking inspiring, I'm sorry. It's just sideways traffic in LBC at the moment. Thank you, everybody, for the feedback. It definitely helped. It's definitely helpful. And I'm sorry the comments are on slow. I'm slow and I have to keep up. Okay, so we're going to do MUE. The extra ones you requested, don't worry, I will get them all in at the end, so you're not missing anything, okay? So MUE is monetary unit. This is another one where I think that this is a bit of a bearish flag pattern, okay? And I think that this rally was a bit of an ABC, and I think that, you know, you kind of tend to see this pattern towards the end of the trend. It usually breaks down lower, and then that's the final leg. So if we put just a fib projection from this, yeah, anyway. So for my money, I think 240 is probably where we go in this one for one more push lower. And yeah, I'm not ready to buy this one yet. Now, a close above this horizontal resistance, so this horizontal resistance is 675, that would say that I'm wrong and we're going higher. So until then, nothing to do, I'm afraid. 675 is key. Okay. So monetary union, sideways range, likely to squeeze lower before higher. Watch for a retest of the lows. We've got a triple bottom going on here. It would be very nice to see a false breakdown. You know, when you've got a big base that everybody's looking at, a false breakdown to 240 and then a sharp bullish reversal. That would be an interesting look for monetary union. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Raven. Now, I drew all my, from each one of these corrective swings, I put fibs on from lows to highs, and I use the projections for support. And I like to look for 1272, which is where we are trying to double bottom here. And if we fail here, I'm afraid we're going back for a retest of the lows at 250, which is a long way down. So let's look. I'm looking for 325 in Raven to hold as support at the moment. That's the daily look. And it does look like we've done it. But let's look on the hourly and see. Ta-da! It's looking pretty good. It does look pretty good. So I'm going to measure from this most recent swing lower, high to low. And if we get above the 236 fib, we're probably going to keep going. So let's see where that is. It's a little bit higher. 346 and these previous highs. And that makes sense. Okay, because when you're in a downtrend, you make lower lows and lower highs. If you're going to make a higher high, you have to take out this lower high here. That's our trend resistance. So above 346 on a hourly close, and we've reversed the trend. If we stall there, we've just made an ABC correction and we're still in a downtrend. So it doesn't mean you can't buy it ahead of there, but you have to be aware that that's where the resistance is. So that's Raven. Really good level, but above 346 would seal the deal, okay? For me. Block is next. Blocknet. Now, Blocknet just stalled and reversed. Not just at this 200 moving average, it was actually just ahead of it. But again, it's this trend thing, okay? So if we say that these highs are the most recent, you know, kind of trend, last lower high, that's really kind of, we just failed at this resistance basically, haven't we? So now, where are we going to come back to? Support becomes resistance. And we've got a quadruple top here, so potentially that's a good level where we can look for first. Maybe a little bit lower towards this daily 20 moving average. Anything above 50, and I'm going to hopefully, so we'll see. Now this level lines up with the 382 fib. And if we come back to 50% back, 49,194. So one of these levels is going to catch us. And we just have to kind of watch and see which one it is. I'm going to say the lower one now. And you know, the reason is that we've made a double top. Okay, so double top here. See, high and high. When you break the low in the middle, you go twice that. So that, unfortunately, from high here like this, we're going to go back to this 50% level. So 49,000 probably for Blocknet. But maybe we can sneak in some support at 54,000. So 54,000 or 49,000, one of those two levels in Blocknet should be where the market finds support and turns up higher again. Until then, patience. If you're hodling some, reduce your risk, just sell some. If you want to keep a little, keep a little. But I would take some profit, because we don't know. It might just, the world may end and it all may just keep going. So last request was CNNETH. CNN Ethereum, can't remember who asked me for this one. I've got the name written down. Sarah, this is a double bottom or a sideways range, and until we break out of it, there's nothing to do, unfortunately. Here's our daily chart. I had two support levels for CNNETH between 97 and 100, which is where we're trying to make a base, and if we fail here, we're going to go to 60. So watch out if we break the bottom. When you're in a sideways range like this, the only thing you can do is buy the bottom and sell the top until we break out. And when we do break out, what you want to see is because you get a lot of fake moves. The way to get around these fake moves is to watch for the retest. I like to go down to a 15-minute, seriously, this is a 15-minute chart. And if we were going to break out here, I like to see this and then buy the pullback. And that way you don't get faked out. Okay? But until then, we're in this sideways range around this really important price, and we haven't reversed it. Above 110, we're going to be going up, and if we break the lows, which are at 94, look for 60 next, and don't hang on. Okay, so
you missed Nulls.
I missed Nulls, and I'm going to do NXT. Okay, Let's find nulls. So sorry about that. Losing my marbles as well, everything else. But this was big fat disappointment in nulls. So I'm going to go back to this weekly here, this 886 fib level. I'm still pretty hopeful that this holds, and I like it also. If we look back to the opening pies here, you know, it's pretty good support and resistance in this one. The problem is, looks like we're going to have to retest it before we go. And this looks like a false breakout. Doesn't look like an ABC, and we might find support around these daily moving averages, but whenever they're completely flat, the whole thing works much better as just a sideways range, unfortunately, and they're just like support and resistance in the middle. So I'm going to say I'm really neutral on this one until I see it do something spectacular to go the other way. Nulls. Trying to find. Now, when you do see a bullish cross of the moving averages like we've got here, you do expect the market to come back and retest them. And I think that we can say clearly that there is a pretty good support and resistance level here. Support from that first low, here, resistance, and then a bit of a wash. But so we do have, you know, an opportunity here maybe. And I think it's probably a 786. Yeah, there, around here. It's not perfect yet. But until we get that reversal on the lower time frame, then we haven't got anything. So a double bottom, a higher low here, back above this hourly 200 moving average, that would be a really good sign. If you want to have a firm number, use the 236 fib above 12,150. I think we're going higher from here, and then 13,200, which is 50% of the high to low for sure we are. So, you know, but just sideways, unfortunately, in nulls until then. So, and not much we can do about it. And unless you want to buy so much that you move the market, that would be a good solution. So let's see where NXT is. So bouncing off these previous lows in NXT, the problem is for me that I think the risk is that this is just a temporary bounce, and when I look at the fib levels, that we're probably going to go a bit lower to 636, which is the fib extension from this last bigger correction. It's just how it tends to work, and it did work at the 1272. Here you can see we made a low, highs, and so on. So I think this is a stall here. It's not been enough of a rally on this weekly, and the risk is that if we break this support level at 707, we're going to go to 636. So that's the weekly view of NXT. So now when we look at this coming back to retest it here on the daily chart, if we break down this 707 level, that's probably where we're going to go. If we don't, if we make a higher low, if we retest it, find support, happy days, then I think we have short term, you know, pretty good, you know, maybe head and shoulders. If we, I like them to have symmetry, so we need to rally pretty quickly here if we're going to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to say this is just as the most recent high. So flat moving averages on the daily, set to retest the lows, nothing to do until we get that you know, retested. Now, if we get down to 636 and you see bullish price action here, this is a really good level. Okay, a really good level to look for some support. Now, Ripple. I'm going to start with Ripple dollar. The arse has completely fallen out of this, which I was not thinking. So, no, that one's gone. Okay. So, this was a really impulsive look to me, this rally here. This decline, I think now we're in a declining wedge and potentially a final leg lower in Ripple dollar. So how low is this final leg lower going to go? I don't know. There's very often a fib relationship between the first leg and the fifth leg. And if that's the case, and we measure from here in Ripple dollar, then 0.21123, so slightly lower lows below that. I'm going to take them away. Potentially. But really in Ripple, until we, I'm going to take that away as well, until we break out of this declining wedge pattern that we're in, you know, we're still headed lower. Potentially, these previous lows could catch us and we could make a double bottom here. If we stop at these previous lows and we rally, what would you look for? What would we look for to say that that's it or that we're done? Always, you know, back above that 236 fib will say that we've stopped going down and we're going up again. So that would be your first, and then the 50% of the most recent swing that you're in, that you're correcting, above that would say a breakout. So if we did stop here in Ripple at these previous lows, and we'll mark approximately where they are, above 27.56 would be bullish, above 37.56 would be a breakout. This is this 50% level here. That's what we'd be looking for. But if we don't, and if we keep going lower, then this bottom rail is where I'd be looking for. Not in a straight line, obviously. We've drawn that like a Muppet, but let's go to the weekly in Ripple. I just want to see. Potentially, you know, if we go to that measured, like there's such good support in this zone or a little bit lower, you know, I think we just have to be patient and wait for the right bullish price action. So we're not quite there yet in Ripple. We're not quite there yet. The best thing about Ripple is when it goes quiet, like it does here. Whenever it's gone quiet before and everybody's given up on it or is not talking about it, that's when you tend to see the really big moves in Ripple. So I'd like to see it make a base here and go really quiet for a day or two. And then I think we can pay some attention to it. So not much to do until then. Now, Komodo. Let's see, Komodo. This one is quite a happy chart for me. Mainly because this is, whenever you see daily moving averages all bunched up together really closely, like we've got here in Komodo, it usually signifies a big move is coming. So, and this is exactly what we've got, a very good bunched up sideways range. Here's the top of our range. Here's the bottom of our range. So no breakout until then. And I'm a little bit disappointed because it looks like an ABC correction, which means we're probably headed all the way back to the lows in Komodo. I was looking on the pullback today, if we were going to break this symmetry and have a decent rally from here, that we would hold these moving averages. But this horrible bearish engulfing reversal day has ruined that, and I'm afraid in Komodo, more likely we're headed back to the lows. But I'm open to it. You know, I'm open to it being wrong. It's the 200-day moving average after all. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to do this. 236 here is at, in Komodo Bitcoin is at 101.15 from this high. 101.15. So if I would put an alarm there. Because if we rally back above 101.15, then we've held that 200-day moving average and we're going up. But everything seems to have got sunk. All of the supports levels that I was looking at today to hold, unfortunately, they've all just got messed up. So yeah, look for the bottom of the range. Now, because this is a 618 rally and we didn't get to the 382, I'm pretty optimistic that, you know, we could do it here from here. If I look at this first swing as well, and then I measure from that 382, where would we come back to? 75, I think, will hold, and we will see another leg higher, at least to 87. Whenever you are bouncing around between a 618, 382, it's called the golden ratio zone. It's where the market tries to find balance, and there's really, in between this, in this block, no trend. There is no trend. We're not bearish or bullish. We're bearish if we break down below these lows, then we're going to 66. And we're bullish if we break out above these highs, then we're going to the top of the range here around 95. But in this box, no trend either way in Komodo. And now we're going to look at GNT. I'd rather look at a GNT, but we'll look at GNT. Here we go. You're very welcome, LEB. Now, we'll start on the daily in GNT. Because this is bad news. So here's our sideways range. We had a lovely range here. And really clearly defined highs, you can see. And then this was the lows of our range. And if we close here, we are on the next swing lower. And we're going to retest the low lows. So if you have got some and you didn't get out of Golem, it is Golem, then wait for the daily close and then wait for tomorrow. And what you should see is we'll see a rally back to retest this support level at 1696, 1700. And if we rally back up there tomorrow and then reverse there and turn lower, that's going to be your exit. You need to get out there because we will be headed lower. If it's a false breakdown, we will get back above this level, probably. And then what you'll see is probably price action like this. So we'll get back up. First off, we'll rally up and we'll come. Hold on. We'll rally up and we'll have a shallow stall. And then we'll get above it. And then we'll retest it like this. And that will be support. Okay? But if we don't and we turn lower, really you should get out of GNT and wait for a retest of the low lows. And hot holo is around here somewhere. Holo. Okay. So I'm going to start on the daily chart with regular candles. So these are the fib levels that are fib projections. So from this high to this low, the 1.618 we stalled at for a day. First of all, the previous highs we stalled at for a couple of days. 1.618 we hit, pulled back nicely to the 1272. 2.618 we've hit nicely, had a little bit of pullback. Our next upside targets are, if we close above 45, we're going to go to 58. And if we close above 58, we're going to go to 66. Those are the two levels that I'm looking for. Now, you see this candle here? People will tell you that this is a hanging man and it's really bearish. It's probably the worst performing candle, but it is a doji and it is a pretty volatile pause candle. So this is one of those ones where you really kind of want to look on a lower time frame, because I think here on the hourly that what we've done, Hikanashi, here we go, is a nice ABC pullback. So potentially we could make new highs. So if you're holding some, hold on, put your stop under the low. If you want to buy some, it's too risky to buy straight into resistance. Let it get above and then buy the first pullback, okay? And if it makes a new high, because sometimes you get those irregular, if it makes a new high and then it comes all the way back again and it doesn't hold on the retest, then you haven't been faked out, have you? And if it does that, then yeah, you know it's not happening. And you know to get out. Okay, so Holo, and now we're going to look at Sub. We looked at Lumen at the beginning, Mansour, so you have to go to the beginning for that one. VET, NPXS, and Sub. VET. VeChain is here. No, it's this next one. VeChain. Now, sideways range in VeChain. The difference is, this time, like a lot of them, we've got a bullish cross of our moving averages and we've pulled back to them perfectly. So if this is a base that we've made here, and if this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern, then this is where we should find support and turn higher. This momentum troubles me a little bit. It makes me think that this is big left shoulder, big head, and that we've got a big left right shoulder to come. However, we'll be open to what the market gods give us. So look at this. So I've drawn from this high to this low. This 236 fib is our confirmation of a bullish reversal here. We haven't managed to close above it so far. If we do, 50% at 119 will be where you go, and then above that 50% at 119 is a buy for another attempt at the neckline. So that's what I'm looking for. If we just roll lower here, we're still in a downtrend. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is, last off, that NPXS, and then Sub NPXS, and then I'm going to say, I can't remember what NPXS is, so I'm going to do Sub while I look at it and we'll find it in a minute. So Substratum, how many charts do we look at that have this same problem of this sideways range, bunched up moving averages? You know, I think if this is a triangle or a wedge pattern like this, if we break down, we're going to retest the lows. But this is a sideways range. Highs, lows, you know, I'm going to move it down a bit because that's probably more accurate. No trend. Buy the bottom, sell the top until we break out. Nothing to do in Substratum. You probably, if you've got some panicking, which I get, so you've got to be okay with it coming down here, especially as we've got this double top here. So here's our double top. Here's our confirmation level of the double top here. Okay, that we're underneath. So we're going to go twice this distance. Bottom of the range. So if you don't want to go to the bottom of the range and you're holding Substratum, I honestly would sell some now, because the rally is going to be very shallow. Like, they're going to defend these lows here. You might get a bounce 1250 or something, but probably not much more than that. So look for or if you want to hold some, like some people don't like selling, sell half, and then if it goes back to this bottom of the range and bounces, buy half back, and then at least your average price is a bit better. Okay, so sub and then NPXS is back here. What have I done with NPXS? That's the question. Pundi. So Pundi, we looked at this today in our group. So just make sure I've got it written out. Pundi has, from this high to low, which is really the most recent swing lower, I could put it from this one, but then it's kind of got, you know, this is clearly for me the most recent swing lower. When I'm not sure if I've drawn a fib right, I make sure that I see a reaction at the 236 fib. And here, that's what we've got at 14 a reaction. So I know I've drawn it right. So now I know that this 618, we're in that 618382. So where's Pundi looking to come back to? 16. That's where we're going to look to buy Pundi. It might come back to the 236, which is at 14. So we're going to say this is our buy range, and then we're going to look for another swing higher from here. 16 I prefer, to be honest, but 618382. So that's the daily look. So here on our short term, take an hourly look. So we've had one swing lower, like this. We're looking for the second swing, like that, and then we're done. So measure 1, 2. Ooh, maybe we come back to 15. I don't know. Maybe I'm measuring it wrong. But that's what I'm looking for in Pundi. A little bit more of a pullback before we rally again. So there we go. All right, that's it. I'm afraid not better news, is it? I really do think I'm looking to see a bullish reversal in Bitcoin in the next couple of days. I would have preferred to see a blow off bottom. But sometimes in markets you don't get what you want. Sometimes it'll just drift, and when everybody will stop talking about it, it'll turn around and rip everyone's face off. So let's see. The close tonight in Bitcoin, we will not be so bearish if we close above this previous low and we have a little bit of a swing failure pattern here. We still have a valid Gartley pattern in Bitcoin, and we still have a valid Gartley pattern in WAN that I'm looking at, and I bought a little bit of. So good luck, everybody. For the most part, otherwise, until we see some better signs of reversal, I really would keep your capital dry and ready until you see some blood in the streets, and then we'll at some good levels, and then we'll see what we can do. XLM is it? Okay. Bye, everyone. Good night. Thank you. Thanks for coming.